This is the Italian Real Estate Podcast, here to help you with the ins and outs and basics of Italian real estate, presented by ItalianRealEstateLawyers.com. Hello there, and welcome to another edition of the Italian Real Estate Podcast, presented by ItalianRealEstateLawyers.com. Of course, we are back at it again with Italian attorney Marco Permunian. How are you doing today?
Good, how are you?
I am doing great, thank you. And of course, as always, this episode is made possible by ItalianRealEstateLawyers.com. And today, we're doing a very special episode here in Ferrara, Italy. And so, Marco, for those who may be thinking about maybe retiring to Italy, maybe even thinking about moving to a place like Ferrara, I think it would be good in this episode if we could go over some ideas comparing getting Italian citizenship or coming to Italy as an Italian citizen versus residing in Italy, just becoming an Italian resident, getting a visa to be here. So Marco, can you maybe give us a little bit of an overview of some of the things that people should maybe take into consideration?
A lot of people have been asking us whether it's best to apply for Italian citizenship or to retire in Italy by establishing residency in Italy. Which one is best? Of course, both options require some explanation. Some people will qualify for citizenship by descent because they have Italian ancestors, or people who are married to an Italian citizen can consider applying for Italian citizenship through marriage. Of course, citizenship through residency is only available to those people who have spent a number of years in Italy, and getting residency in Italy, on the other hand, requires applying for a visa, meaning that there is this misconception that establishing residency in Italy for retirees or anybody else is an easy process, and a lot of people confuse the concept of residency with the concept of applying for a residency permit or a visa, meaning that Italy, like any other countries, does not allow a person, a foreigner, to simply establish residency in Italy. To be able to establish residency in Italy, you need to obtain a visa that needs to be issued by the Italian consulate in the country where you reside. Now, the Italian government has made available a specific kind of visa to retirees known as the Italian Elective Residency visa, otherwise known as the retirement visa. To apply for that visa, you do need to go through a process through the Italian consulate in the country where you reside. Also, unlike applying for citizenship by descent or through marriage with the purpose of residing in Italy, applying for the retirement visa requires that you have a lodging already in Italy, so that you have secured an apartment or a property, meaning that you rented it or that you bought a property, which is not, on the other hand, required for people who want to apply for Italian citizenship with the purpose of retiring in Italy.
Well, thank you, Marco, for getting into that. And just a quick question, though, because a lot of people who are going to be moving to Italy in that stage of life where retirement is a real possibility, they're also going to be thinking about their social security. And is there going to be a difference between somebody who's a citizen and just simply a resident, and how that might affect how their social security might be taxed here from the U.S. in Italy?
Being a dual citizen or an Italian residency permit holder doesn't really make any difference. In fact, Italy taxes people who reside in Italy, so the taxation in Italy applies to residents, not really to citizens, so it doesn't really make a difference if you're a citizen or just a resident of Italy, meaning a residency permit holder. The taxation, the way in which your pension, for example, is taxed, will be the same. Of course, each individual situation will be different, especially for people whose pension comes from abroad, so it's always best to contact a tax specialist to get answers regarding taxes.
Really interesting. And so also about another thing that will be on the top of a lot of people's minds who are thinking about moving to this part of the world. What about healthcare and being signed up for the Italian healthcare system? Is it possible for everybody to equally get onto the healthcare system? Or is there any type of payment that has to be made to get onto the healthcare system, or becoming a user of the private system?
Anybody who is a resident of Italy, whether it's a citizen or a residency permit holder, has the right to access the Italian healthcare system nearly for free, meaning that you would end up paying a fraction of the cost of the healthcare in other countries like the US or the UK. So there are certain services for which you pay a portion of that service in Italy, but in general, it's nearly for free. So the healthcare in Italy, it's either low cost or for free. But regardless, the situation doesn't change it's no difference for citizens or residents of Italy.
So also, when thinking about getting an Italian residency permit or applying for Italian dual citizenship, what are the processing times looking like on those? I mean, citizenship versus getting a visa here.
Applying for citizenship with the purpose of retiring in Italy is of course, more stable solution, but at the same time is a slower process, meaning that once you become an Italian citizen, say by descent or through marriage, you can reside in Italy without limitations. However, the process of gaining citizenship, it tends to be much longer than the process of gaining residency. Now, getting residency in Italy through an application for a retirement visa is a fairly quick process. The application needs to be filed through the Italian consulate, but in a matter of months, you could be approved to become a resident of Italy. Now, of course, there are certain requirements, meaning you need to have passive income that allows you to support yourself in Italy without having to rely on work activities, which on the other hand is not a requirement for the citizenship application, which on the other hand only requires proving that you're of Italian descent. However, once you get citizenship, there is no limitations in terms of how long you can reside in Italy, and also you can move between Italy and your home country more freely. Applying for a residency permit for retirees, so getting the Italian elective residency visa, while it's a quicker process, it's a process that you will need to repeat every year because the residency permit will need to be renewed every year, and you also do need to maintain your the requirements that allowed you to initially get the residency permit. So every year you need to show that you maintain those requirements in order to get your residency permit renewed.
So having the elective residency visa and the residency here in Italy, is there a certain point where that actually leads to permanent residency in Italy? Or, I mean, of course, after, I'm assuming, just 10 years, they could also apply for citizenship, but is permanent residency then an option for those who might be thinking that they would prefer not to become a citizen for whatever reason it may be?
Yes, what I just mentioned actually applies only to the first 5 years. So you have to worry about renewing your status every year for the first 5 years, but then after 5 years you gain the permanent resident status. So at that point, you no longer have to worry about renewing your residency permit. And after 10 years, you can also apply for citizenship through residency, like you just mentioned.
And so what about, for example, if somebody wants to purchase property, who knows, maybe even here in Ferrara, is there a difference in being a citizen versus just a resident of the country? Are there any maybe bonuses or benefits that a person might be able to take advantage of?
To apply for the elective residency visa, you do need to secure a property in Italy before you secure the visa. So one of the requirements for the visa is having a property in Italy, either a property that you rented or a property that you purchased. Now, regarding differences between being able to purchase as a resident or as a non-resident, as a citizen or as a non-citizen. Now, if you're a citizen, of course, there are no limitations in terms of being able to rent or purchase a property. If you are a non-resident, however, you can only purchase a property if there is reciprocity between your country and Italy, meaning that according to the reciprocity agreement between Italy and several countries, foreigners can only purchase in Italy if it's allowed for Italian citizens to purchase in the foreign country. So in short, if you're not a resident of Italy, you can only purchase if your country allows Italians to purchase in your home country. Now, there is some limits, for example, that were set recently by the Canadian government for Italians to be able to purchase in Canada, and therefore it is not possible as of this moment in time for Canadians that are non-residents of Italy to purchase in Italy, with a few exceptions. But mostly Canadians will be unable to purchase a property in Italy at this time until the limit is removed on the Canadian side.
Well, absolutely fascinating, Marco, and I'm sure this episode is going to help a lot of people. But of course, if anybody is looking for actual practical help with how to find a home, where to find a home, and how to get through all of this, how can they get in contact with you and your team?
People can contact us through our website, ItalianRealEstateLawyers.com, or give us a call. The numbers on the website.
Well, absolutely fantastic. And of course, if you're interested in more content like this about purchasing property in Italy, where to purchase property in Italy, be sure to subscribe to this YouTube channel as well as the audio-only podcast. But of course, if you're subscribed to the YouTube channel, that means that you are also automatically subscribed to the Italian Citizenship podcast, where Marco and I talk about making Italy a reality from the legal aspect. And also, if you're interested in more about life abroad and living abroad, be sure to come over to my YouTube channel, youtube.com/Rafael Di Furia, or you can find the podcast on your favorite podcasting platform by searching for Not Your Average Globetrotter. But of course, we have been here again, in person, live in the flesh, with Italian attorney Marco Permunian from ItalianRealEstateLawyers.com. I'm Rafael Di Furia. Stay safe and healthy out there, and we'll see you all next time. Later.
Thank you.